The throne. The trailer opens with Doom sitting on the throne, and the most interesting thing about the shot isn't him, it's the floor. There are runes burning green on the ground, and those same runes show up again on the gauntlet holding Thor's axe at the end of the trailer. A lot of people are going to look at this opening and think it's just the villain posing in a big chair, but Doom's throne is almost a character of its own. Doom debuted in Fantastic Four number 5 back in 1962 and became the Fantastic Four's biggest enemy. And in Secret Wars from 2015, which is the comic these two movies are pulling from, the multiverse gets destroyed and Doom puts the pieces together to build one single planet. And he rules that planet like a god, sitting down. So opening with him already on the throne is probably Marvel showing you the ending of the story in the very first image of the trailer. Take a look at the stained glass behind him too, because it's the same stained glass that spent months sitting behind the countdown clock on the live stream, and now it got updated with this sick new look. And there's one thing that's still just a rumor, but there are theories saying that by this point in the movie, Doom will have already faced Loki and beaten him. That's why his magic has that green tone, the same one from the end of Loki Season 2. The original universe. The trailer is narrated at first by Sue Storm's voice.
I knew he was lost, but I did not realize.
She says Victor was the smartest guy in any room, that he was different, that he was kind, and that everything he loved was taken from him. She isn't describing some guy who came out of nowhere. She's talking about someone she knew. And right after that, Reed yells at him, calling him Victor, not Doom.
Victor, did you do this?
That's the first confirmation that Dr. Doom is from the same universe as the Fantastic Four. And on top of that, in First Steps, we got a quick shot showing a seat reserved for Latveria. So Doom is from Earth 828, the same one as the Fantastic Four, which completely changes the post-credit scene of First Steps, because that masked guy standing next to Franklin wasn't an invader from another universe. He was somebody they knew, maybe even a friend. And look, I'll be honest, for me, this is by far the best decision this movie made, because Marvel could have brought Doom in as a generic multiverse threat, and instead they chose to anchor him in a personal relationship that already existed.
Answer me, Victor! Did you do this?
Oh, and notice that even the Marvel Studios logo got customized, with the light coming from behind the letters. The meeting. While Sue talks, the trailer cuts to a bunch of people listening. Magneto, with a beard and long hair. Gambit, way more serious than he was in Deadpool and Wolverine. And Steve Rogers in a black t-shirt. Now here comes the part almost nobody caught the first time. This is not one single meeting. I watched 4 different breakdowns of this trailer before making this one, and every single one of them guessed a different location for the same conversation. One said it's the X-Mansion, because of the books and the curtains. Another said it's the Baxter Building, because that's where all of Reed's stuff is. And the third one said it's Steve's place. All 3 can be right at the same time, because Sue's background doesn't match the background of the other guys. The edit glued different places together to make it look like one scene, but the strongest proof of all is a tiny detail on Magneto's arm. He's wearing a sling, and that changes the order of things because it means this conversation happens after a fight, not before. Check out the Wakanda group too. You've got Shuri, M'Baku, Shang-Chi, John Walker, and Namor with the spear in his hand. The mural. This one is the prettiest shot in the trailer and the saddest one too. Doom shows up from behind with his hand touching a giant mural of a woman holding a child. It's the same image Marvel used on the poster, so this isn't set decoration. The question that split everybody is, who are those 2 people? In the comics, the most important female figure in Victor's life is his mother, Cynthia, who was a witch. So it could be him with his mom, but I think it's probably his wife and son. The line that comes right after is about stolen lives, and the montage that goes with that line is all people holding kids.
All of you have lived stolen lives. Now you must give them back.
On top of that, he says, you are all living stolen lives. And that lines up perfectly with the montage. Take Franklin, for example, who's the most obvious case. His mother died in First Steps. She burned her entire power pushing Galactus into the portal, and she was gone. And Franklin, still a baby, touched her and brought her back, which means there's a person alive in Universe 828 who should be dead. And the one who undid it was a newborn. Then you've got Love, who is even weirder. She was Gore's daughter, and she died of starvation in the opening scene of Love and Thunder in her dad's arms in a desert where there wasn't even water left. At the end of that movie, Gore had one wish to ask eternity for, and instead of killing every god, he asked for his daughter back. So Love is alive because somebody bargained with a cosmic being. That's not exactly standard procedure, and Steve's son doesn't even need an explanation. That kid only exists because a man borrowed the Infinity Stones and simply decided not to come back. Cassie is the one that fits the least, and on this one, I might be reaching, but it was Scott coming out of the quantum realm to see his daughter again that gave the Avengers the time travel idea. The entire timeline mess in the MCU started with that reunion. So Doom isn't making a generic villain speech, pointing his finger at a whole room full of people who cheated death while he lost his own and nobody showed up to undo it. The Witches of Latveria. At this point, the camera drops down on Doom, and there's something moving in the corner of the frame. You can see some dark fabric over there, and look, anyone keeping up with the news probably already has an idea who that could be. At San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel put a costume on display with a little plaque identifying it as Witch of Latveria, except they swapped the costume every single day. On the first day it was green, on the second, orange, on the third, purple. And the silver mask on these witches is almost identical to Doom's own mask, and it's basically the same mask that shows up in the post-credits scene of First Steps. And honestly, that person in the post-credits scene might not be Doom, but one of his allies. Look at the mask comparison. The post-credits one is way simpler than the Doom in the trailer, and it looks a lot like the image we saw of Doom's allies. But maybe the reason that mask is so simple is something else, and you're about to understand why. In the comics, Doom doesn't have a group of witches working for him. That's an invention of the movie, so that fabric in the background could be something else. But 3 different costumes that all look this much like Doom is Marvel telling you they're from the same group. Now, about who's underneath those masks, everything out there is rumor. So keep your expectations in check. Along with the witches, a 4th look leaked. It's a character called Boris. In the comics, Boris is Victor's most loyal Latverian servant, the old man who helped raise him. And this Boris mask has a slot for a 3rd eye on the forehead. There's exactly one character in the MCU who ended his last movie with a 3rd eye: Doctor Strange. And it makes sense, because the last time we saw Strange, Clea showed up and told him right to his face that he had caused an incursion. If you're Doom putting a team together, that's exactly the guy you call. For the witches, the guesses are Clea in the purple one, Sylvie in the green one, and Wanda in the orange one. But I'm not buying any of those yet. Only the Doctor Strange one. That 3rd eye detail gives away a lot. New York destroyed. Then the trailer opens on an aerial shot of a destroyed city. You can make out Central Park in the middle with Manhattan in ruins all around it, and this shot has a behind-the-scenes context. Earlier this year, Ian McKellen went on an American talk show and said word for word that Magneto destroys New Jersey in this movie. And he even tacked on a "sorry about that, New Jersey, that one was my fault." The guy is 86 years old and could not care less about Marvel's NDA, and I love that. There's just one problem. This here is New York. So either the movie has 2 different city destructions, or the old man mixed up the states during the interview, which is also totally possible. And what I think is more likely is that this city isn't even from the main universe. On top of that, in the montage, there's that shot of Magneto crying that turned out really good. So what could be causing that? Maybe Professor Xavier dying again on the big screen? Seriously, he's died a few times already. I don't know. Drop your theory down in the comments.
I think I finally understand you. Beloved.
The 2 armors. Now, a piece of information that isn't in the trailer but explains the whole thing. At the same event where this trailer premiered, Marvel put a 2nd Doom armor on display, and it's pretty different from the one that shows up here. Cleaner, smoother, less war armor, and more Monarch outfit. The obvious read is that it's just a costume variation, something every superhero movie does, but the order he wears each one in is what matters. The elegant armor is the Victor, who still has everybody's trust. The heavy one, with the runes, is the Doom after the mask comes off. And there's one detail on that armor that I think is the strangest of them all. The 2 clasps holding his cape aren't the same. One of them is a star that looks a lot like Captain Marvel's symbol. The other one is shaped like Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. They could be trophies from people he's already beaten in another universe. Or they could be the opposite, a list of who he already knows how to neutralize, and they could be protection runes. I'm going with the second one because he stops Thor with 2 fingers, and Captain Marvel hasn't shown up in a single trailer for this movie. And by the way, his other outfit might explain why the mask in the Fantastic Four post-credits scene is so simple. The broken glass. We get a quick look at Cyclops in a scene that has to be before or after what we already saw in the previous trailer. I don't know about you guys, but it looks like there's something moving behind him. Maybe it's the Sentinels we see at the end of the trailer. Right after that, Doom crashes through a piece of glass, falls, and lands on the floor of the battlefield. And the first time I watched it, I swore it was the roof of a building in New York, but it's the front window of the hero's ship. And that changes everything, because it means he didn't come flying in from far away. He came out from inside. Doom was in there with them, inside the ship, and he leaves by smashing through the window they were looking out of. And that's where the armor from the last topic fits in, because there's a really fast transformation on him in that bit, and the edit is so quick you can read it as a costume change in the middle of the movement. Now here comes the part where I could be completely wrong. I get the feeling there was somebody else with him in that shot. I can't call it, it's one frame, and trailers are edited exactly to trick you on that kind of thing. But there's a set photo that leaked a while back that backs it up. It shows the inside of a ship with a huge curved window against a blue background. In it, we've got John Walker, the new Falcon, and the actor who plays the Thing, who by the way is in that black suit covered in markers for the post-production. And it's the same set. The curved window looks the same in both scenes. So if that photo is from this scene, we know who was in the room the moment Victor turned into Doom. Go for the head. Thor shows up with Stormbreaker and warns Doom that he's going to beg for hell before Thor grants it. And check out the detail. He goes for the head.
Or I grant it.
This is the guy who missed the shot on Thanos because he aimed for the chest and spent an entire movie getting reminded of it. So he learned his lesson, he aimed right, and it didn't do a thing. Doom stops the axe with 2 fingers and throws Thor across the field with a green blast. That axe was forged specifically to kill Thanos, and he catches it with his fingertips without moving an inch. And then he answers.
Hell answers to me. For I am Doom.
That line sounds like nothing but villain arrogance, and it is, but it's also one of the most specific inside jokes Marvel has ever done. Because in the comics, Victor's mother made a deal with Mephisto, who's the closest thing Marvel has to a devil. The deal went sideways, she died, and her soul got stuck down there. And Victor spent his whole life studying science and magic for the same reason, to get his mother out. That turned into one of the best stories the character ever got, a 1989 graphic novel called Triumph and Torment, where he and Doctor Strange go down to hell together. So when this Doom says hell answers to him, either it's just talk, or it's a guy letting the God of Thunder know that he's already been somewhere way worse than anything Thor can do to him. And keep in mind, Mephisto already showed up in the MCU, back in Ironheart. The Sentinels. Doom puts his hand on the ground, and a green mist comes out from under the dirt, and the Sentinels start rising. Now check out something that flies right by you. He isn't hacking into their system. As he raises his arms, the Sentinels rise. It's not hacking, it's magic. He's using those robots like an extension of his own body. For anyone who isn't into comics, the Sentinels debuted in X-Men number 14 from 1965, created by Bolivar Trask to hunt mutants. And here's a detail. In the comics, Doom has already built his own giant Sentinels in a fight that was about Franklin Richards of all people. The first time they really showed up in live action was in the opening of X-Men The Last Stand from 2006 in the Danger Room, and all we got to see was the head. 20 years to go from a decapitated head in a simulation to this, and the design is finally the comic book one, purple and clunky without that smooth redesign from Days of Future Past. The cracked TVA. And there are a few things that were at that same event outside the trailer that are worth mentioning too. Marvel turned its entire booth into a TVA that the public could walk through, except the TVA was cracked with rubble on the floor. And in a room called Repairs, there was a giant Sentinel head lying there and the broken sign from Professor Xavier's school. Marvel built a TVA display that was completely cracked and destroyed, with a Sentinel down on the floor right next to it. If the TVA shows up destroyed in the promo material, it's because the TVA falls in the movie. And the one sitting in the middle of the TVA is Loki. There was the new poster and the countdown clock that turned into Doom's face. And there was a video of Hugh Jackman begging Kevin Feige for a spot in the movie, with Ryan Reynolds off camera telling him to stick to the script.
Now follow the fucking script.
Okay. So anyway, if you guys need some help rounding out the cast, I'd love to join. And I don't know, I might be able to convince Ryan to appear in Avengers Doomsday, but no pressure. I hate you so much, man.
I know, me too.
Nobody films that kind of bit for a movie the two of them aren't in. This is by a mile the best material that's come out of Doomsday so far. I'll be honest, got me more hyped than the first trailer. Comment down below what you thought and what other details you caught. And if you want to stay in the mood, check out our video Every Single Scene That Leads to Avengers Doomsday. It's popping up on screen right now. See you there.